Welcome to another New Jersey Small Business Development Center's video. My name's Chris. This is Ryan. We're going to talk about how to start or grow your business.
So whether you're brand new at business or you've been at it for a couple of years, we're going to go over some of the core fundamental elements to make sure that you have good success.
In this video, we're going to talk about how to create a business plan. So as a consultant, as a business consultant at the NJSBDC, how do you do that?
Well, it's actually a lot simpler than at first thought by a lot of people. Most people look at this and think, I don't want to write a 50-page report, but there are different types of business plans. Some of them could be 50 pages, but some of them could be 3 or 4 pages. It all depends. What we want to make sure is that the business plan is concise and there is a purpose that the business plan is trying to accomplish, and does the narrative in our plan accomplish that purpose? So first, let's define what is a business plan. So business plan really is a set of instructions on how to run a business. And if we keep that in the back of our minds as we're writing the business plan, we can create a much more actionable set of documents that will help us get to our success. It helps us keep track. So think about a recipe or a workout schedule in the same mindset. So a business plan does a couple of things. A business plan is a set of instructions on how to run our business, like we just said. It also helps us define where our market's going to be. It helps us justify some of our theories, and it helps us give structure to our business. What legal entity structure should we choose? For example, once we defined our business plan, are we doing business just in one state, or are we doing business in multiple states? Does it have a presence somewhere else? Do we have a lot of partners? Are we bringing in investors? Those are all questions that you would discuss with your accountant, with your attorney, and help you pick the right choice on the legal entity structure. These are things that will come as a result of doing a good business plan. So although there are many different types of business plans, we're going to focus on 2. One is a traditional business plan. The other one is a lean business plan. The traditional business plan is created when we're trying to accomplish a partnership, whether that partnership is with a lender, a procurement contract, a potential partner in any way. And a lean business plan is when we're just trying to show some basic information about the business to maybe a potential investor, or to a potential incubator or something along those lines.
Is to pick your format, such as traditional versus lean startup. The first step in writing your business plan is to determine what your goals are with the plan. When we decide to share our business plan, there are several different versions we can use. However, for the purpose of this video, we are going to discuss 2 of the most used approaches. The traditional route, and the most common, is likely what you'll be using. The traditional plan contains far more details and should be used for most scenarios. Alternatively, you can explore a lean startup plan, which are usually much shorter, sometimes even just a page or 2, and are used to detail your business only at the highest level. This is most appropriate for businesses that are likely to change quickly or are on a very, very short timeline, or just to give someone an idea or introduction to your business model. The following is going to be an overview of a traditional plan, and while you might find lots of variations in different templates and examples, they will all have the same core components that we will explore today.
So in the traditional business plan, there are a couple of sections that we're going to walk through now. The first one is going to be your executive summary. That summarizes your entire business plan in 1 page. A common mistake is that most people do this first. This should be written last because it's summarizing your entire business plan. We can't summarize something that we haven't written yet. So once we write the entire business plan, then we're going to summarize it into 1 page, and that's what we use to give people a sneak peek into what our business is going to be looking like, who we're going to be selling to, what is it that we're going to be selling, who is in the company. That's all going to be condensed into 1 page, and then we can elaborate a little bit more in the following sections.
Is to write your executive summary. For this section, we write last, as it will summarize the entire plan in 1 page and is normally used to introduce someone on the outside to your company. As with any other piece of writing, this introduction to your plan is the hook. It's why the reader should believe in your business. Sell your business and explain why it matters. Additionally, supplement your sell with a high-level summary of your plan and operating model. However, don't go over 1 or 2 pages. Feel free to include the following as well, such as business name, key employees, address, business background, listing of goods and services offered, and your market.
So the first section of a business plan is called the company description. Here you want to start off by creating a statement that says what problem is the business solving. Is it a lack of diversity in, let's say, a pizzeria that doesn't offer gluten-free pizza? Or is it that there's not enough of a certain type of business or product in your community? So we start off with what is the problem, and then here is the solution. In the solution, we want to address who our core target audience is. There will be a section a little bit later where you can get into the nitty-gritty of who your core target audience actually is. But you want to be able to address it here. We want to talk about the company structure. What kind of talent do you guys have in the company? We also want to make sure that we address what kind of companies are going to be working with us. And those companies could be our vertical companies, those that are part of our supply chain, or those can be partner companies, other vendors that we work with to make sure that our product gets delivered. These are all part of our company description.
Let's get ready to write our plan. The first step is to write a business description. This is your first opportunity to really go into detail about your business. What business will you be in? What will your role be? What's the opportunity that your business is capitalizing on? What's the target market? How are you standing out from your competitors? Highlight how your business is differentiated. In this section, you can address these questions briefly, but in later sections, we will have the time to go into much more detail. It's also a good idea that in this section, you should include your mission statement, your business philosophy, and even your company goals and objectives. It's important here to describe your industry and what's happening in the future, and how you will take advantage of that change. Describe your most important company's strength and what factors will make the company succeed. Lastly, you should also include in this section information about the legal entity type and the ownership structure, especially if equity is held by other individuals and other companies. The next step is to write about your company's products and services. Describe in depth your products or services offered. Include details such as technical specifications, drawings, photos, sales brochures, and other bulky items that belong in the appendix. What factors will give you competitive advantages or disadvantages? Some examples include level of quality or unique or proprietary features. Briefly introduce what are the pricing, fee, or leasing structures of your products or services.
The following section is going to be the market analysis. In the market analysis, we're talking about specifically the geographic market that you're going after and the economic market you're going after. For example, are we going after a market that has high discretionary spending, or are we going after a value-oriented market? These are the things that really help us shape the way the product looks, the way the website looks, the way the customer journey is from the beginning to the end. We want to be very clear and provide as many details. Those websites that we provided in the last video are websites that you can use to help give shape to the market analysis section of your business plan.
Step 3 is all about market research. Any good business will have done comprehensive analysis of the market that's entering. This doesn't just apply to large corporations, and your reader will likely want to see evidence of this. Here, you can describe the industry and market your business will operate in, and highlight the opportunities your business will take advantage of. Did your market research reveal any unique trends? If so, this is the place to show it. But how do we actually do this research? Well, to answer your question, there are two types of market research: primary and secondary. Secondary research means using published information such as industry profiles, trade journals, newspapers, magazines, census data, and demographic profiles. This type of information is available in public libraries, industry associations, chambers of commerce, from vendors who sell to your industry, and from government agencies. Primary research means gathering your own data. For example, you could do your own traffic count at a proposed location, use the yellow pages to identify competitors, and do surveys or focus group interviews to learn about consumer preferences. Professional primary market research can be very costly, but there are many books that show small business owners how to do effective research themselves. And most importantly, the SBDC is always here to help with any questions you may have along the way. In your marketing plan, be as specific as possible. Give statistics, numbers, and sources. The marketing plan will be the basis of the all-important sales projection. Some economic facts to consider using in this section are things like Size of your market. What percentage of your market will you have? Current demand in your target market. Any trends in your market? Growth potential for a business of your size? Also, remember to include the barriers to enter your market. Could be things like high capital costs, high production costs, training and skills, shipping costs, etc. And of course, how you plan on overcoming these challenges. Lastly, how could the following affect your company? Factors such as changes in technology, regulations, economy, industry, etc. The competition. What products and companies will compete with you? List your major competitors. You can ask questions such as, will they compete with you across the board or just for certain products, certain customers, or in certain locations? How will your products or services compare with the competition? Let's show you a competitive analysis table and how to use it. Compare your company with two of your most important competitors. In the first column are key competitive factors. Since these vary from one industry to another, you may want to customize the list of factors. In the column labeled My Business, state how you honestly think you will stack up in your customers' minds. Then check whether you think this factor will be a strength or a weakness for you. Sometimes it is hard to analyze our own weaknesses. Try to be very honest here. Better yet, get someone who has no interest in you to assess you. This can be a real eye-opener. Remember, you cannot be all the things to all people. In fact, trying to be causes many business failures because efforts become scattered and diluted. You want an honest assessment of your firm's strong and weak points. Now analyze each major competitor. In a few words, state how you think they compare. In the final column, estimate the importance of each competitive factor to the customer. You can go from 1 for critical up to 5 for not very important. Now, write a short paragraph stating your competitive advantages and disadvantages. Now, let's talk about niche. Now that you have systematically analyzed your industry, your product, your customers, and the competition, you should have a clear picture of where your company fits into the world. In one short paragraph, define your niche, pretty much your unique corner of the market. Next, you're going to want to strategize. Now, outline a marketing strategy that is consistent with your niche. And you're going to want to promote. How will you get the word out to customers? You can ask yourself advertising questions such as, what media, why, and how often? Why this mix and not some other? Have you identified low-cost methods to get the most out of your promotional budget? What is your starting and ongoing budget for marketing? Now, let's talk more about pricing. Explain your method or methods of setting prices. For most small businesses, having the lowest price is not a good policy. It robs you of needed profit margin. Customers may not care as much about price as you think, and large competitors can underprice you anyway. Usually, you will do better to have average prices and compete on quality and service. A business can use a variety of pricing strategies when selling a product or service. To determine the most effective pricing strategy for a company, you need to first identify the true cost of doing business, pricing segment, and competitive pricing reaction. This is all part of your pricing model.
The following section is called Organization and Management. Here you want to be able to elaborate on why you chose a certain structure, LLC versus an S Corp as an example. If you have an organizational chart, this is a good place to provide it. And we provide resumes or at least descriptions on the key talent within your company. This could be any senior level management, or this could be any key employees. It could be a chef, a DJ that you have. It depends on your type of business. The idea here is to provide clear evidence or narrative evidence as to why there is structure internally that helps you become successful with your business.
Let's talk about your operational plan. This gets into the tangible details of your business. How will your business operate on a day-to-day basis? Your plan should really detail this out. Explain the daily operation of the business, its location, equipment, people, processes, and surrounding environment. Talk about your production line. How and where are your products or services produced? Explain your methods of production techniques and costs, quality control, customer service, inventory control, and product development. What about your location? What qualities do you need in a location? Describe the type of location you'll have. Also, go into detail about your physical requirements, such as amount of space, type of building, zoning, power, and other utilities. What about your business's legal structure? Here, you can elaborate on the reasons why you chose your legal entity. We would also recommend putting together an organizational chart if there are multiple stakeholders to not only show who's involved, but to also show how everyone brings something to the table. Also, what is your public access like? Is this an online business open 24 hours a day? Or is there a physical location with a set schedule of operation? Going back to your legal structure, you want to go more into depth about your business's legal environment. Describe elements such as licensing and bonding requirements, permits, health, workplace, or environmental regulations. What about special regulations covering your industry or profession? Zoning or building code requirements? Insurance coverage? Also, trademarks, copyrights, or patents, such as pending, existing, or purchase patents. Also, you'll want to talk about your business personnel when writing your operational plan. Talk about your number of employees. Also, what type of labor is needed, such as skilled, unskilled, and professional labor. Where and how will you find the right employees? What is the quality of your existing staff? What is your pay structure like? Talk about your training methods and requirements for employees. Who does which tasks? Do you have schedules and written procedures prepared? Have you drafted job descriptions for employees? If not, take time to write some. They really help internal communications with employees. For certain functions, will you use contract workers in addition to employees? Also, go into depth about your business's inventory. Answer questions such as, what kind of inventory will you keep? Such as raw materials, supplies, or finished goods? What is your average value in stock? For example, what is your inventory investment? Also, what is the rate of turnover and how does this compare to the industry average? Do you have any seasonal buildups or lead time for ordering? Next, talk about your suppliers. Identify key suppliers such as names and addresses, type and amount of inventory furnished, credit and delivery policies, history and reliability. Should you have more than one supplier for critical items in case of backup? Do you expect shortages or short-term delivery problems? Are supply costs steady or fluctuating? If fluctuating, how would you deal with changing costs?
The following section is a service or product line. What exactly is the product or service that you guys are providing, and why did you choose that version of that product or service? Chris, you're the marketing guy within the SBDC network, so do you have anything else to elaborate on this section? What are common mistakes that people might have in this section?
Well, this section's a little bit easier because first of all, you should know your product or service. List out the pricing. There should be some type of pricing strategy in there. In terms of the marketing and sales section, which comes right after that, you should be thinking about your tactics, the overall strategy first, and then tactics on how you're going to persuade consumers to buy your product or service. So that'll come up in a future video, but there are some more sections to a business plan that I think we need to still go over.
Absolutely.
Product description. In the products and services section, you described your products and services as you see them. Now describe them from your customer's point of view. You can go into depth about your products and services, features, and benefits. First, list all of your major products or services offered. For each product or service, describe the most important features, such as what is special about it. Describe the benefits, that is, what will the product do for the customer. Note the difference between features and benefits and think about them. For example, a house that gives shelter and lasts a long time is made with certain materials and to a certain design. Those are its features. Its benefits include pride of ownership, financial security, providing for the family, and inclusion in a neighborhood. You build features into your product so that you can sell the benefits. The benefits don't always stop here, such as after-sales services. Some examples are delivery, warranty, service contracts, support, refund policy, and others. Step 5 is all about your customers. Identify your targeted customers, their characteristics, and their geographic locations, otherwise known as their demographics. The description will be completely different depending on whether you plan to sell to other businesses or directly to consumers. If you sell a consumer product but sell it through a channel of distributors, wholesalers, and retailers, you must carefully analyze both the end consumer and the middleman businesses to which you sell. You may also have more than one customer group. For any of your customer groups, try to consider what common grounds do they all stand on. Identify the most important groups of the customers. Then for each customer group, construct what is called a demographic profile. Here are some examples of things that they may have in common, such as age, gender, location, income level, social class and occupation, education, and maybe another commonality specific to your industry. For business customers, the demographic factors might include industry or a portion of an industry, location, size of firm, quality, technology, and price preferences, and other commonalities specific to your industry. What after-sale services will you give? Some examples are delivery, warranty, service contracts, support, follow-up, and refund policy. Also, include a marketing or promotions plan here. You could have the best product in the world, but it won't matter if no one knows about it. Identify your target market and really detail out how you make that market aware of your product. What's the message you want to promote, and why does that resonate with your specific product and the target audience? How will you build awareness and retain loyalty?
The following section is going to be marketing and sales, which is, again, right back to you.
Right, so marketing and sales, we're going to have another video on this particular section, but here is where you would lay out your entire plan. How are you going to present your business, branding wise? What are the strategies and tactics you're going to use to sell your product, or how you're going to promote yourself, whether it's online, in person, at events? You know, what goes in there is all the nitty gritty of marketing and sales.
Yep. And it should be read, again, like an instruction manual on what we're doing for marketing, you know, how we're going to execute, what we're doing on a daily basis, what we're doing on a monthly basis. You know, do we have resources, you know, time and money allocated for networking, for, you know, for advertisements, you know, for partnerships. So these are all things that go into the marketing and sales section. You know, and then that's actually a nice little segue into the next section, which is a funding request. So if the business does need funding, this is going to be a section that will exist in only these circumstances, because we need to calculate what the total operating cost is or startup capital cost are of this business project or expansion. We want to be able to show how much equity I put into it, you know, or in this case, you know, you put into it, and what are the missing dollars in order to make sure that we achieve our goal.
To raise capital. If you intend for a prospective investor or lender to read this, you want to include a section here on your funding request. Be clear with how much you're asking for and why. You don't want to ask for a $1,000 loan or investment without a clear plan as to what exactly that money would be used for. On top of explaining what the funds would be used for, also clearly state the projected return on investment, ROI, and how the loan will be paid back.
In the next section, we're going to provide financial projections. This is going to be, or historical if the business is already in existence. But we want to be able to forecast what do the next 12 months, very specifically on a month-to-month basis, what will they look like if these action items are accomplished. one of the best reasons of reaching out to the SBDC is that we have consultants throughout the entire state that will help you put together these projections in a way that the bankers understand them, and that the CPAs can actually give you the core information and help work with you to make sure that these projections look as clean as possible and as transparent as possible.
You'll talk about your financial analysis and projections. It doesn't matter if you include a request for funding in your plan. You will want to include a financial analysis here. You'll want to do two things here. First, paint a picture of your business's performance in the past, if possible. And secondly, show how the business will look in the future. You can use charts and images to help make the experience easier, but make sure you use standard structures for the core financial statements, such as balance sheets, cash flow, and income statements. If your business has already been operating for a few years, demonstrate stability through your finances. But if your business is newer and not yet profitable, be clear and realistic with your projections, and include a break-even analysis and a plan on how you'll be funding gaps in cash flow. Research industry norms and look up how comparable businesses have performed. Include income statements, balance sheets, and cash flow statements for multiple years if possible. When showing your financial outlook, you can project your vision up to 5 years, but anything past that might be too speculative. The projections should be detailed on a monthly basis for at least the first year or two. After that, you can consolidate the financial performance in columns for each year. Lastly, clearly state the logic behind your projections and include as many explanations as possible for any assumptions or estimates. Remember, if you have any questions during this process, an advisor from the SBDC is always ready and willing to help.
The last section is going to be the appendix. The appendix is the section where we include any of the information that will back up or validate any assumptions that we said throughout the business plan. So if we said that our market is growing at this type of rate, we would like to include some type of data or at least a link to a verifiable and quality source that says that the market is growing at this rate. You know, if we say that we need X amount of dollars because the building we need to purchase costs this much, in the appendix is where we put a listing of that building. So that's where we put all the supporting data for our business. Another version of a business plan is called the Lean Startup Business Plan. Now in this one, there are different subcategories of a Lean business plan. And a common example could be a pitch deck. And a pitch deck is like a PowerPoint presentation that you use to pitch your idea to a set of investors, you know, as one example of why you might need a Lean business plan. But generally speaking, these business plans focus on just the core elements that your audience that you're showing this business plan to really care about. Again, just to contrast it with the traditional is an instruction manual that you guys use internally to run your business. This is what you can share with other C-level members of your company or other managers of your company to see what the next action item happens to be on my business. With the Lean business plan, this is more of an external document that we share with potential partners, potential investors into our company. Depending on what they're looking for is what we include. A couple of key examples would be partnerships, activities, resources. What is your value proposition? You know, what kind of customer relations do you guys have? What are the segments? Channels, cost structures, you know, the list can go on and on, but these are examples. This is a good opportunity for you again to contact the SBDC and find one of our consultants throughout the state that can determine which business plan style is right for you and help you develop it.
Okay, Ryan, so we figured out that the business is feasible. We could actually make it, right? We've figured out the business plan, so how we're gonna start and run the business, but what's the first step to that, to actually running the business?
That's a good question. So to start the business, and we want to make sure that we're aware of what rules and regulations apply to our industry, apply to our geography, and so that we are compliant with those rules and regulations. One of the first things that I see as a common misstep is the name. Most people will register their name, but don't protect it on a national level. In the event that the brand grows, or you have a business presence outside of the state lines, you want to make sure that it's protected by the USPTO website, and then you go to the United States Patent and Trade Office, and it's uspto.gov, to make sure that the name is not only available to you, but that it's not going to be assigned just to you for your own exclusive use. There's countless cases of businesses that as they're growing, they find out there's another business with the same name in another state, and now they have to go through a rebranding phase. So that's one of the first steps. The next step is that we have to register our business. Once we decide on the name, we're going to register the business in the state of New Jersey. And in the state of New Jersey, we start off at the state level with our articles of formation, if it's an LLC, or articles of incorporation, if it's a corp, C corp or an S corp. After we finalize those steps, we'll go to the IRS website and we get a tax ID number. The third and final step is that we go back to the New Jersey Treasury Office to make sure that we connect your tax ID number with a corporate ID number, and now your business is registered. Remember, these are things that could be a little bit complicated if it's the first time that you're doing it, so I strongly advise that you contact an attorney, an accountant, or an advisor from the SBDC to give you a little bit of education on how to do it for yourself. So now that we have our tax ID in place and a company registered, one of the next steps is we want to make sure that our company has all the right licenses and permits in place. So if you click here, we'll go to a State of New Jersey website that will show you how to find out if your business does need any licenses or permits and what the process is like to get it. Now, this is just a high-level overview of licenses and permits. Always want to talk to an attorney to make sure that everything is set up correctly. And lastly, we want to make sure that on the financial record keeping side, things are set up correctly. So talk to a CPA and a bookkeeper to make sure that you have bookkeeping software in place to track all the expenses and cash flows of the business, because with better information, we make better decisions.
Remember, everyone, the New Jersey Small Business Development Centers network is here to help you. We've helped over 15,000 small businesses grow with 3 things: no-cost small business consulting, training and events starting at $0, and exclusive small business resources. So if you want a little bit more information on the NJSBDC, go ahead and visit njsbdc.com, or if you're ready to go, you can speak to a business consultant and go ahead and get registered at njsbdc.com/request-counseling.